cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Hey, but you are so money and you don't even know it.
I understood that reference.
Morning, Mr. Hammond. Your mission, should you accept it, steal, destroy, shadow, disappear. Assemble the team. And here we go.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to FreeWheeling Fridays, where we talk about all things pop culture, and we also introduce you to a great, wonderful indie creator out there who's doing wonderful things with their lives, and we find out more about them by taking your questions, of course. I'm your host, Ryan of And I Quote Channel, here on FreeWheeling Fridays, part of the Madness Comic Network. Yeah! And our guest on this episode is indie comic creator, artist, does a million things, and he just happens to be a Superman fan, as we were talking about in the green room backstage, which means we're going to be super friends, not just acquaintances. We're going to be super friends because I'm a Superman fan and I'm not ashamed to say it. Please welcome of Argo Comics, Dan Sehn. Daniel-san is in the building. Hello, Dan. Good to see you, sir. How are you today?
How are we doing? All right?
Doing quite well, good sir. It's good to have you here, and it's good to have you who may be watching or listening to this episode of FreeWheeling Fridays right now. Now, if you have any questions for Dan Sehn as we go throughout the course of this episode, drop it like it's hot in the comments, in the chat. We're more than happy to take those as they come in, respectively. Do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends, or frenemies if you want to call them that. And if you're joining us live or what is known as a replay, thank you so much for doing so. With that piece of business out of the way, Dan, how or when were you introduced to the world of comics?
That is beyond my recollection. I was getting comics. I guess my parents saw that I responded to them, and I was getting them at that point. I do recall if I was quiet at church, we would stop at the candy store, and I would be able to get a couple comics at that point. So it's long time, but loved them growing up, loved drawing them, even though I phased into more writer, editor, letterer, wearing those different hats, but just always loved comics.
Wonderful stuff. Who would you say are some of your favorite comic book writers or artists, past or present?
The writers probably is a shorter list, because I think there's a lot of great, fantastic artists. The writers, of course, Alan Moore comes in. I think the Hernandez brothers, who did Love and Rockets. Paul Chadwick was a top talent. Will Eisner, I think, art-wise as well, but his just illustrations, and that's why he wrote the book on the first kind of guide in creating comics. Art-wise, though, the list is very extensive. I've liked Art Adams for a long time. The Image guys who all came in, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, all those guys I loved as well. There's a number of indie artists. Well, actually, some of them have done indie and big company books, but like Adam Hughes, Rick Mays, Francesco was a collaborator that I got to work with in a number of pinups and covers, and Bill Mouse, who I guess gained prominence in Zen, Intergalactic Ninja, and then going on to his own Near X. He actually produced a lot of the art that is in this Kickstarter that I'm running right now for the Sorority of Power, which is a book that I have, along with Argo 5 being two of my flagship titles for Argo Comics.
Good stuff, good stuff. And we will be talking about that Kickstarter a little bit later on in this show, so get ready for that. Don't worry, it's coming, folks. It's coming. But thank you for sharing that with us. What would you say are some of your favorite comic book-based movies or TV series?
Movies or TV series, best comic-based? Well, as you said, we are both Superman fans. So I was there for theatrical release of Christopher Reeve playing Superman, and when they said, "You will believe a man can fly," and I still think that holds up as one of the better Superman movies of them all. Even if perhaps George Reeves might be my favorite Superman, and of course that was more of a television show. Superman and the Mole Men was a movie, but I'm not sure if that actually, I wasn't around for that theatrical release, but I'm not even sure if it had one. But that was a good comic movie. But there's been so many. Of course, the Marvel movies, we've seen them go up and down a little bit, but Captain America, First Avenger, that still might hold up as one of the better Marvel movies for me. Of course, I like the Avengers, like Thor, Iron Man, Deadpool. So that list is, pretty extensive. And I always liked the Hulk movies, but they've ranged in quality a little bit. And for hardcore comic fans, let's say a Hulk who can grow gigantic is maybe not on the top of your list. So sometimes it's tougher for us to get past the details of how they were portrayed in comics. I try to just take it as a separate universe. But definitely all those. There's been like a lot of little eccentric movies like Mystery Men, for instance, The Rocketeer, all these type of movies that I liked a lot, but perhaps didn't resonate with the general public.
Yeah, good titles there for sure. Man, Rocketeer, goodness gracious. I remember seeing that on VHS when I was a kid. Good Lord, I'm dating myself. And that movie turns, I want to say, give me a second, 35 years young in 2026. Don't worry, we'll do a movie anniversary watch along for that on Quote channel, which you're more than welcome to check out at a later date. Madness Comic Network is here. That's Pops. He says, "Hey, yo, Rumble Lurkers? Rumble Lurkers? Lurkers, okay. New one on me, Pops. Well done, buddy. Well done." He's just saying hello to everybody. What made you decide to get into indie comics?
Well, I never really pursued the bigger corporate comics companies. I guess having been a lifelong comic fan, as I mentioned, the indies, when I started buying them, offered something a little different. It wasn't like I just had started buying, Superman, X-Men, Avengers, whatever. I had a number of years on that. So not that I got bored with them, and as I said, there were always a large list of artists who, and I pretty much followed artists. Like it wasn't like maybe X-Men, Avengers, Superman. Those were a few of the books that I maybe would stick around regardless of who was drawing it. But for the most part, a lot of times I would just follow whichever artist I was really into. So, George Perez got assigned to this book, I was buying that book. John Byrne got assigned to that book, I'm going over there. So, yeah, in that respect, I guess I was just buying a lot of indie books. They seem to have a unique flavor. And I said to myself, I'm not going to do a homage or tribute of, the big two books. I liked what the indie comics were doing, and perhaps having an individual voice, they were able to tell a more direct story. And I said, that's for me. And I just started publishing at that point around 2005. So we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Argo Comics.
Wow, man, time flies when you're having fun, folks. What would you say are some of the biggest rewards about being an indie comic creator?
Well, I think the collaborating with some of these great artists who I've been able to work with. I mean, I did draw the first issue of Argo 5. I did recognize that at my speed, with the assignments of also writing, editing, lettering, and getting like the marketing done that I wouldn't be able to produce with any regularity if I was going to also draw, being the most time consuming of the things that you have to do to produce a comic. So I handed those reins over to those people who specialized in that. And it's been great just, collaborating with them and getting those pages coming in and seeing, of course, the finished book in your hands when it's all said and done. So that's really kept me going to the point where I guess I'm over 100 issues in now of producing comics. So they say you have to do 10,000 hours of anything to become a master. I don't claim to be a master, but I have put in my 10,000 hours, that's for sure.
That's a plethora right there, Hefe. That's it's a long time, and that's really good stuff. Makes a whole lot of sense. Madness Entertainment Group, which I'm assuming is you, Pops, has a question. He says, "How did you come up with a super heroine sorority?"
Yeah, well, I had a past girlfriend who had talked about the fact that she had been in a sorority when she was in college. And I had thought to myself, again, not wanting to just homage things that were out there, wanting to come up with things that were different. I really didn't see a sorority. Like, I always liked the super teams, but I hadn't seen a team that was a sorority. So I said that would seem like it would be a good avenue to follow. And, came up with the characters. Again, learning from her that, I mean, I went to a college as well, and I knew about Rush Week, and I knew that they were, recruiting people, and that sororities had to pledge, fraternities had to pledge to get in, which usually lasts not that long, a week or two. But in making the comic, I wanted to make it that we had the three pledges, the three sorority sisters. So I made it by the fact that they are pledging to be superheroes, which is, serious, dangerous work that, just like a police academy would not be 2 weeks. The pledging lasts for a year, giving me more time to tell more stories with the pledges and the sisters and having that dynamic playing.
I see. In the words of our good friend Spock, fascinating. Fascinating stuff. On the flip side of the coin, though, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being an indie comic creator?
Well, of course, getting the word out there that your book even exists, whether or not you can then get to the point of proving the quality of your book. I mean, with Kickstarter, with crowdfunding, and with print on demand, there is a lot of books on the market. So it's easy to get, kind of lost in the sea of books. Even with mainstream distribution, that Diamond catalog was always a very thick book for people to get through, for comic stores to order from. I think most indies, under a certain threshold of, let's say, Image or Dark Horse or something like that, most indies were still by order. Like, when someone is filling out their own previews order form, because most stores can't get stuck with these products. So I think getting the word out becomes paramount. And, thankfully, there's shows like your own that help promote an indie creator. And of course, as I said, crowdfunding came around. So that put you in a position that you can show off your wares a little easier.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Teamwork does make the dream work, and as long as we're building each other up and not tearing each other down, we're doing a great thing for the world and a great thing for society. I would venture to say. And I'm glad you mentioned the magic words that we'd like to bring up a lot during the course of this show and some of the other shows that we have here at the Madness Comic Network and other places as well. Indie creators, man, there's so many of them. There's so many different projects, so many different ideas that people are trying to piece together, put together, whether it's on paper, whether it's in a comic, whether it's in a book, words on a page, if I may say so myself. And there's many other ways to go about it as well. Now, before we dive into what is known as Dan Sehn's Kickstarter and some of the things he's got going on right now with this campaign and things of that nature, and we are going to talk about Sorority of Power. Sorry, I got a He-Man on the brain now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because when I think of the word power, the first thing that comes to my mind is him just raising that thing to the sky. You remember that? It's just, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. And I'm like, dude, that is just, excuse my language, but that is just badass. Man.
Is that better than Thunder? Thundercats! Oh!
I mean, to me, I don't know. To me, I'd go with He-Man over the Thundercats. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I go with the He-Man and Motu over the Thundercats. I'm so sorry. I know I may throw some people off here. Maybe you're going to come at me, bro, in the comments. I don't know. But I go with He-Man over Thundercats. Are you a big proponent of Thundercats?
Well, I like them both. I'm not really.
Okay.
I didn't grow up in that era, so neither of them hold. Even these, G.I. Joe is a big thing. I go back in my day. He was like 4 times the size and had kung fu grip. So I don't really, I know that there's a big resurgence of the '80s things, but I was just a little before that, so it doesn't resonate the same way with me. But yeah, I like it. I like that stuff.
Yeah, there's no worries here, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's no point in picking sides because everything is fun, everything is enjoyable. You can enjoy it to the best of your ability. And if you like one more so than the other, that's fine too. Granted, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, and what was the other one? He-Man, Masters of the Universe was before my time. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit younger than some of the people we've had on this show. No offense, Pops, but it's okay. Age is just a bloody number. But we do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to each and every single one of you who may be watching or listening to this episode of FreeWheeling Fridays here at the Madness Comic Network. Do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And if you're watching us live or on the replay, thank you so much for doing that. And we are here with indie comic creator Dan Sehn here on this episode of FreeWheeling Fridays. Before I turn things over to you, Dan, for you to share your screen and share more about your Kickstarter, I want to take an opportunity to say thank you to our good friend, Cindy Koepp, who's an indie writer. Has got a lot of great things going for her and a lot of great things coming up soon. So we have this for you. Take a look. There you go. So feel free to check out Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today and all that good stuff. So wish you the best, Cindy. My goodness, that's a heck of a way to walk away from an ad. Is you're walking away with a bear and another animal, like you're just one with nature, but you got the animal kingdom chilling out behind you and willing to guard you and go into battle with you at any point in time. That's a fantasy it's a fantasy adventure novel waiting to happen. So, Dan Sehn, tell us a little bit more about this Kickstarter. Go ahead and share some stuff with us.
Okay, share the screen. Let's see. Share screen. Okay. How are we looking?
There it is.
Got it. All right.
So, tell us about Sorority of Power. What do we have going on here with this Kickstarter, respectively?
Yes, as I said, we do have. Well, this is a sorority of superheroines, and we have three characters who are already sisters. One up here, her, and then we have three characters who are pledges. So basically, the first issue, and this is a trade paperback, so you're getting the first 5 issues of Sorority of Power. We had an 8-page first appearance, and I had a series called the Argo Comics Anthology, which is actually the first thing I published story-wise. So that was a 6-issue miniseries that had a bunch of different super teams I had come up with. Sorority of Power was in issue 2, 8 pages. So I put that in the trade as well, so you'd have their first appearance. And basically, we also have in this Kickstarter issue number 16, which I'm doing exclusively through Kickstarter, being that I wanted to have a new issue out for the people who had already picked up the previous Sorority of Power issues and felt they didn't need the trade. I'll scroll a little bit here. So gives you a little bit of the idea of who they are, what their powers are, which is something I usually put in the inside front cover. I notice in some indie comics, you might get through the whole issue and like, what was that character's name? And, or they never use their power, or they shoot some ray and you don't really know what the power is. So I figured, let me just, put that out on the table. I do that for most of my books. So Lady Blackstar, Crush, and Miss Molecule are sorority sisters, and Cybersuit, Leopard Lass, and Mushka are pledges who are, I guess, trying to get into the Sorority of Power. And that art is by Bill Mouse, those profile pics. This was, again, that 8-page first appearance. I put sample art on the Kickstarter because I figured everyone should be able to see, what they're getting. Like, give a little sample of, what the interior artwork. I don't want to just have some great covers and then have anyone misled into what is in the inside. I always, being such an art fan, and I was rattling off some artists who I like, I'm always going to collaborate with artists who I'm, truly into their work, so that, again, sometimes I've said that the writing isn't always there for some books, and in those books, if I'm not gelling with the writing, I at least want to say, okay, at least the art was good, and I believe in the quality of the writing, but I'm also just making sure that the visuals are something that people are going to enjoy. This is actually Rush Week, as I was talking about, where it's Argo University, people are coming in, and then we have some different activities, tables with different activities. And again, being that I had gone to college, I was familiar with a number of the types of clubs that they have, but this is comic books. So instead, we have the Intergalactic Intramural Football Team. We got the Mystic Arts and Witchcrafts. So regular type of college activities, but perhaps more, a little bit towards a comic booky feel, or, a little out of the ordinary. And then, so this is actually kind of like the first appearance. It's a pledge week, and you got the 3 sisters sitting at the table, and then 3 who are approaching the table to find out about, the details about the sorority. And I have it set up in this world that it's like other superheroines who I have in other books were in the sorority before they graduated and went on to crime fighting. So there's some references here and there throughout the series of different superheroes from my other books that attended. And just again, more sample artwork. Now, Bill Mouse, who was drawing these pages, I do consider him the series artist, but with his own Near X titles, and he had a few different indie projects going, I again want to publish with some regularity. So I will rotate his art in with other artists doing different issues, just so that I can keep it on schedule. And even when they're drawing their issues and their issues come out, Bill is slowly working on his next issue, getting that out. So we had T.G. Sangalang draw this issue, and this had like a rival sorority, the manga anime Delta sorority, with a lot of like anime archetypes that are in there. Raphael Langelis drew an issue, and then we were back to Bill Mouse. He had completed his issue, and we went into his next issue. And again, people can go to the Kickstarter page and peruse these pages a little more quickly. I just didn't want to take up the whole show going over page by page. This was issue 5, which had a appearance by the Teen Machine, which is another super team that I had made up. They were in the Argo Comics anthology where they first appeared. And again, tying it all into a cohesive universe, they show up. This episode's at the mall, so college, they're shopping for dresses for the spring formal, and teens are just at the mall. So that's how they run into them. Then we go into issue 16, which I said is a Kickstarter exclusive. And people who are fans of, I've mentioned Rob Liefeld and his New Mutants, might recognize the layout of this homage cover to New Mutants 87, where we have Sorority of Power kind of riffing off that with the homage cover. We also have a Face Talk variant where they're doing a Face Talk dance. I think TikTok's gone, so maybe I didn't have to name it Face Talk. Maybe I was safe.
Actually, TikTok is still it's still around.
Okay.
It was gone for 1 minute and then it came back the next, and now it's, people are still using it. So if TikTok's back, then hey, keep on using it if you wish, but I'll leave that up to the user because it's not my place to judge.
There you go. Well, then luckily I named this our Face Talk variant. No relation to that other social media platform.
Right.
And then we had a tier where we were going to do a custom cover where people can have their own, if you're an indie creator with your own female superhero, or just someone who's never been published with your own female superhero, we're going to do a special variant cover just with everyone who backs that tier having their characters along with one of the sorority members as sorority sisters. So we only have one spot of that left. But that was another. These are stretch goal covers. Bill Mouse did a live draw. I was on that program. And then he inked it afterwards. We got it colored, and we unlocked that stretch goal at 3,000. Now we have a Mushka cover at 4,000. And Mushka is like a Russian exchange student who's studying abroad in the U.S. So that's why it's Mushka rather than like Mouse Girl or something. That's another variant that we added to the campaign by the issue 16 artist who drew the interiors that you can see here for issue 16. Rob Banbury really did fantastic work. Tio Pinheiro did the colors on issue 16. And those are preview pages. 16, it guest stars Pink Puma, which I had a book, Pink Puma Red Rooster, that I kickstarted. Pink Puma and Leopard Lass hold ties with their origin, so it makes sense that she'd come and visit Leopard Lass, and then Crush seems very interested in Pink Puma, gets a hold of her. But there's the Pink Puma and Red Rooster comic that I had published, and we're offering it since she's in that issue of Sorority of Power. We have that issue as an add-on as well. And Argo 5 is my main title. I'm lettering issue 47 right now. This is our first trade, collecting issues 0 through 5. And then I had a second trade, issues 6 to 11. I'm always asked about these trade collections rather than people buying all the individual issues. So I figured it would be good to offer them here on this Kickstarter, along with the rest of the series of Sorority of Power. I didn't originally have that offered in this campaign. People were asking for it, so I created a tier with issues 6 through 15 digital, 6 through 15 print, along with everything else that's available in the campaign. So those are some higher tiers. But it is our 11th campaign. So there's that section on the bottom for risk and challenges. And in this particular Kickstarter, I have the proofs of all the books. So it's all done. Obviously, the collection of issues 1 through 5 was done a long time ago. So I have all the proof copies and be ready for quicker fulfillment than you sometimes get on Kickstarter.
Giddy up, man. That's fantastic. I'm getting shades. Well, not shades, because we don't want to talk about 50 Shades of Nothing. But I'm getting vibes of Sky High meets X-Men meets what is it like? What was that? Bring It On. With the competition between the two teams.
Yeah.
Or what is it? I'm sure there's a movie out there called Sorority something. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, there's been a bunch of like cheesy sorority movies, I'm sure.
Sorority movies or sorority. There was Sorority Boys, which was a raunchy comedy with Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville, believe it or not.
Oh yeah, Lex Luthor and voice of the Flash, right?
That's right. Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum. I met him. What was it? Last year. Last year, I met him at AwesomeCon in our nation's capital, Washington D.C. It was him and Tom Welling. So they did a mini Smallville reunion. It was great. It was one of the best moments of my life, personally, professionally, emotionally, whatever you want to call it. It was a moment that I'll never forget. You can find out more about that information on our Instagram pages. It's all there at And I Quote Channel. Some great stories, some great moments there. But going back to Sorority of Superheroines, this is fantastic. Congratulations to you and your team, Sorority of Power. That's what it is. Sorry. But yeah, Sorority of Power, this is very different, very unique, very separate from a lot of ideas that I've seen presented on Kickstarter campaigns, some other people who have had superhero teams over the years. But this is for me anyway, this is my first experience seeing something like this. It's different, a Sorority of Power that's very unique. So well done on the idea and well done on the creativity that's being shown here in these images and in the panels and some of the things you're going to get within this Kickstarter campaign, respectively. And then you got, what is it, the Argo 5 stuff? That looks really, really cool. I mean, that's a bit of a, is that like a bit of a Justice League meets a little bit of a darker, grittier side to that story? Or is it lighthearted like Sorority of Power is?
Yeah, again, it is probably the closest you're going to get is like maybe the Justice League International years,
Sure.
Justice League Europe, that type of flavor mixed in with X-Men. But I try to, again, give it a little different flair, make sure that it's not something that you can pick up from the big two, because, you know, again, in the indies, these are unknown characters. So if you already have Justice League and already like Justice League and can easily get your hands on Justice League, I shouldn't be giving you Justice League. I got to give you something a little different. So Argo 5 is a little different. I do get a lot of good feedback. And like I said, I'm lettering issue 47. So, you know, we have to be doing something right to get to that number. And, you know, we will get to 50, but I have a number of other series going on. So we'll see what happens after that.
Giddy up. Well, here's a follow-up question to that. Do you plan to go beyond the magical number of 50? You going to go to 100?
Yeah, well, I'm going to get to 50, and then I'll see where all my other projects are going, because I do have another imprint called Thunder Zone. So it's Argo Comics, and that's all my characters. Thunder Zone, I've been bringing in some other indie creators. So it's more like early Image, where you have maybe like 7 creators, and we all have our books, but they're all on the same earth. So it's a bit more collaborative than what I've done on Argo Comics. Again, 20 years publishing. It's been great to be in my own sandbox, but it's also fun now as a different challenge to be, you know, mixing it up with some other indie creators. We had a Kickstarter prior to this, Thunder Guard, which was kind of characters from all the different creators involved, and that was pretty successful. So with Thunder Zone, I have, I think, 4 books coming. Nature Man I did, which is a revival of Nature Boy, who was created by Jerry Siegel and John Buscema. So Superman creator Jerry Siegel created Nature Boy with John Buscema. They published it for probably like 3 issues, one out of print, public domain. He showed up here and there in like reprints from the public domain comics. But I figured, what if he came back? And at this point, I figured Nature Man would be the way to go, because he aged. Plus, if I put out a book called Nature Boy, the Ric Flair fans would be continually wooing, and I would never get past that. So even with Nature Man, that's often in the comments. But yeah, so Nature Man, and that again provided a different challenge for me, and the fact that I did want to keep the 3 issues as canon, like they did occur, and I wanted to logically work out how he and some other public domain characters show up in the modern world, and you know, again, tie them in together somehow and make an adventure out of that. So I have 3 issues of that. 4th issue is completed, coming in on next Thunder Zone Kickstarter. But yeah, so with, again, series like that in the works, different books I'm putting out, will I go past 50? I'll have to see at that point. When I'm caught up on everything, I'll see where the muse takes me.
Exactly. You got to take a moment to collect yourself, catch your breath, take a step back and say, okay, I've done this and this and that and the other, but where do we go from here? Right. It's one of those things there, which is clearly understandable. Once again, this is Freewheeling Fridays, part of the Madness Comic Network. Don't forget to like and share this. And if you're watching us live on the replay, thank you for doing so. We're here with Dan Sehn of Argo Comics. Do not forget, if you have any questions for him, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. Thank you to everybody who has chimed in thus far. And thank you to Dan for being here. And Dan, thank you for sharing your screen here. Is there anything else you wish to share with us while your screen is still here on the Titantron?
No, that was it.
Okay, just want to make sure. I didn't want to, step on anyone's toes. But there we go. Now we're back to just the two of us hanging out. Okay, uh, wonderful stuff. Which is fantastic. So congratulations on this. It looks really unique, very original, very powerful. By the way, real quick though, on that Kickstarter banner there, who's the young lady with the purple power sword? What's her name?
Oh, Lady Blackstar.
That's it.
She's a sorority president.
Ah, the Presidente. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And you mentioned Ninja Boy Ric Flair, so I mean, it's gold. It's gold. I grew up watching him. Grew up watching pro wrestling. Just out of curiosity though, did you were you a fan of pro wrestling at all? And if so, who are some of your favorite wrestlers way back when?
Yeah.
Any favorites?
I did see Hogan
Mm-hmm.
in his day. I saw him. I think I saw him fight Kamala. Saw him fight King Kong Bundy. And
There
I
you
saw
go.
him fight Big John Studd. So
Wow.
I was around for that. So yeah, I know he's fallen out of favor, but Hogan. I had competed it myself in drug-free bodybuilding. So I guess the bodybuilding wrestlers, and back in the day, Tony Atlas, who actually won bodybuilding titles, Ivan Putski was an actual Mr. Texas. So way back, those guys, it was like the first time you could actually see bodybuilders on TV regularly. And then, I mean, I was there for that whole Rock and Stone Cold era, and they were always very entertaining, as was John Cena, especially when he went against The Rock, and they had that war of words that they had. So Rob Van Dam, I thought, was a really unique move set in wrestling. That's it. I got a picture with him where we're both doing the thumbs up.
Nice.
So,
Well, love that. Good stuff. Good names too. Yeah, some great rivalries, great matches to be had between Hogan and some of his opponents, and obviously Rock and Austin during the Monday Night Wars in the what is it called, the Attitude Era.
Attitude Era.
Yeah, let's not forget about the Attitude Era. And then John Cena, you can't see me. Were you playing peekaboo? Of course we can see you. You got your brown shirt, you got your orange shirt, you got your green shirt, like a giant ball of Fruity Pebbles.
And then he got a Fruity Pebbles endorsement.
And then he got a fruit, and then 2 seconds later, yeah, John Cena got it. You can't see me. Got the Fruity Pebbles endorsement. That's right. Jeez, some promos that The Rock cuts are they're pure gold, man. Pure gold.
Yeah, I'm still watching it, and I mean, I had to give in and get Netflix, being that Raw moved to Netflix. So
yeah, Raw moved over to Netflix. I think what is it? NXT. I think it's on the CW, and I think what is it? Friday Night SmackDown is on. Is that on Fox or is that on USA?
I'm not sure. I just have the DVR set to watch it, but
I think it's on Fox, if I remember correctly. And we spoke about Ric Flair earlier. His daughter Charlotte Flair just announced that she's coming back after some time away from the business, and she's also going to be entering the Women's Royal Rumble. Which, big surprise. I mean, it's Charlotte, right? It's Charlotte Flair. Like, if you don't enter the Royal Rumble to win that match, you get the shot to, go up against the champion at WrestleMania and what do you call it? Headline, main event, right? Main event in WrestleMania. Then what's the point? So, like, we knew you were coming. I mean, we knew you were going to be a part of it. Granted, I didn't know that she was out of the business for a while. I mean, I can't remember why she left. Was it an injury? Maybe she had a kid? I don't remember.
I think it was a knee.
It was an injury. Okay, it was a bad knee injury. All right, gotcha. Well, Charlotte, welcome home. Welcome back, even though you're just cutting promos right now and you're not really in the ring right now. But, hey, Royal Rumble is going to be here in, 2 weeks, I think? So she'll be back before we know it, respectively. So with Sorority of Power, just out of curiosity, outside of that and some of the other things you've done over the years, any special memories for you from being at conventions, whether you're there as a vendor or there as an attendee?
Well, of course, as a lifelong comic fan and being a fan of certain creators, anytime that I would be able to get some of the characters done by some of these creators, and then have them agree to let me publish it, those have been, of course, very rewarding, being that you have enjoyed their work. And then here it is. Like, actually, back in the day, a lot of indie comic fans will relate to liking elementals, which I was following at the time, and it wasn't really social media at the time to even, say that you're a big fan of this or that. But yeah, having met Bill Willingham and Mike Leake, who were creating that series, which was one of my favorites, having them, draw characters for me to use as pinups, that was really great. And I mean, even this Sorority of Power trade paperback, I know Terry Dodson, who was a favorite of mine, and I had to go a number of times to conventions because, again, some of these the lines will form very early, be very long. They won't get to your drawing. So I was fortunate enough to get a Leopard Last by Terry Dodson. So that's included in this trade paperback. And Rob Liefeld, who I mentioned really enjoying his work, he was one of the few who just, beyond just using a pinup, use it for whatever you want. And thus I have like 2 pinups from him, and I have 1 cover from him. And he was a creator who, again, I followed. I think the first thing I saw from him was early Youngblood stuff in Malibu Comics, where they were promoting it as an upcoming series, and it actually didn't launch until Image started. So yeah, sitting. I remember one convention between Adam Hughes and Francesco, 2 of my favorite artists. So, the table god smiled on me at that day, and I had a great convention experience from that. But of course, there's always just the thrill of someone picking up the book, perhaps reading it in their hotel that night, and coming back to tell you how much they enjoyed it. That is always something. Or seeing a return customer from a previous convention coming to your table, looking for the new issue. And again, happily trying to keep on a regular program of publishing. I didn't have to just say, well, I have nothing new, which, occasionally we've all seen it, where it's tough to put out these books. Each one is a big challenge. That's why there's a lot of issue 1s that don't have an issue 2. But yeah, having people come back, having new material for them, having them enjoy that it really is something that, every comic creator has to appreciate.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Absolutely. Great that you've had those interactions and met with some people, made some contacts. Networking is very important, too. Networking is very important. So always good to, meet new people, collaborate with them, maybe, bring them onto a project or maybe something that you may want to collaborate with them on, respectively. So definitely good stuff, man. Good stuff. Do you have any plans to attend any conventions later this year in 2025? You're going to be vending at any of them or maybe attending some?
Yeah, I had lived in New York, so I had tabled at New York Comic Con for a number of years.
Wow. That's a big one right there. Javits Center is no joke.
Yeah. So, there was one year where it went beyond capacity and they weren't letting you back in if you left. So yeah, but now having moved to Florida, and I'm not in the middle of it where you got MegaCon and stuff like that. I'm still exploring the convention landscape of Northern Florida. And, in this day and age of crowdfunding, I think you get a good amount of eyeballs just in that respect. So while I enjoyed the cons, it is a pricey endeavor, especially if there's hotel. Sometimes there was airfare. Occasionally you're kind of like writing it off as a loss just to get the word out there. So yeah, I'm still up in the air about continuing on as far as promoting through that. But I'm sure I'll make it to some of the cons in this area, and maybe I'll see what they're all about and get inspired to make an appearance at one of them.
Absolutely. So, still exploring the Sunshine State of Florida. Absolutely so. Lots of indie comic creators live down there. Silverline Comics has a presence down there. Roland Mann and his crew. Of course, many others are down there, so no harm in that. And MegaCon Orlando, good God, the guest list for that is absolutely insane. I don't know how you guys are doing it, MegaCon, but more power to you, because that guest list is ridiculous. In a good way, though. I mean, it's a very extended guest list, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry. With that being said, what advice would you give to aspiring indie comic creators out there today?
Yeah, I'd have to say that they should do it for the love of making comics. So if you have those stories in you, the love of the art form, then by all means pursue comics. As far as a money-making venture, if you're just doing it for that, you're probably going to go down the wrong road where you're going to just chase the trends, or what you see is a big success in Kickstarter, which, again, the not safe for work. Not that, again, I have anything against that. But if that's not what your, heart wants to create, and then you're making that just because you're looking to make money, then perhaps, it's there are other different ways, I think, that are better to make money. So, for myself, it's just been a love of the art form. And Sorority of Power, I mean, that is, again, it's safer work. It's kind of like spicy but nicey, where the fact is that, there is nothing too graphic, but, it has that titillation type of cheesecake mentality. So again, I'm not one to cast stones at those projects. It's all about the talent. Beyond that, did you tell a great story? Did you have great art? It seems like we're almost going towards a collector's card mentality, where it's just about the 40 covers and having nude variants and stuff like that. So I would say, again, do it because you have a love of making comics, and not, it can be a business, of course. And if you have that idea that catches on, I always tell people comics is somewhat like a lottery ticket, in the fact that, you can buy that lottery ticket, which is your comic. Occasionally, some hit, like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Tick, Walking Dead, but if you don't have a love of making comics, then, all those other lottery ticket holders who don't win, they're going to be sad about that. But if you love making comics and you get these comics back and you're proud of them, that'll be a reward in itself.
Well said, sir. Well said. Well said. Great advice, great guidelines, certain things to follow there as you go throughout the course. If you're aspiring to become an indie comic creator yourself, you're trying to put together certain crowdfunding campaigns, whether it be a Kickstarter or otherwise. So, got to give you credit on that one. Bit of an interesting question, though. You and I are massive Superman fans, so I'm just curious, how many Superman comics do you have in your collection?
That is, I can't. I've never counted them. Even the overall comics, I haven't counted. The long boxes are driving me out of any space that I may have. Unfortunately, I'm not a digital reader. I don't enjoy doing that. So yeah, I'm still picking up the physical copies on my own YouTube channel. I will have a monthly, I call it the Indie Comics Monster Haul, because there's usually a pretty large stack of indie comics. and I'm showing, just as a whole. It's not a review, just showing which indie comics I picked up, and you could just see from that. In the big companies, a lot of times I've gone towards trades, being that again, just the volume of books that I had been picking up was pretty large. So yeah, as far as the number of Superman comics, unknown. From parts unknown.
Parts unknown. Where have I heard that before? Oh, just a few other TV shows, maybe movies, some other characters mentioning that expression somewhere, somehow. But hey, it's all good. Yeah, it's cool, man. I was just wondering because we're massive fans here. We have a respect for each other in that regard, and as well as respect for your projects, everything you're doing, and the wonderful things you got going on here very soon with Sorority of Power. If someone were to pick up Sorority of Power as a animated series or a live action series, who would you cast in these roles? Any ideas?
Yeah, I'm not. I can't say that I have enough knowledge of the teen actors that are out there right now. If you're talking like all time or something, I could see maybe like Phoebe Cates from Fast Times at Ridgemont High being Cyber Suit. Yeah, I really haven't given enough thought to that. And again, I don't. Who's the one who played Ant-Man's daughter?
I forget her name. I forget her
But
name.
maybe she could play Mushka. She's already done some size changing. So, she's got experience with that. And yeah, so I haven't really given a lot of thought. I mean, some of the Kickstarter videos you see, because you brought up cartoons and stuff, there's like some that are just like great cartoons. But again, maybe the book itself isn't quite up to that. And again, maybe the book doesn't get a lot of issues done because the creator of that is into doing this cartoon. So I'm very focused on comics, which becomes a detriment of having anything in an animated form because it's just it's not a side project I pursue. Although it'd be great, let's say if that got licensed out or something like that, to see something like that. But I try to stay focused so I can, bring comics to people with some regularity, follow up on storylines, and not have just something that ends on a cliffhanger that never gets resolved.
Well, that's understandable. The last thing I would want to do is read a comic book that I'm really, really enjoying, and it ends on a cliffhanger. I'm like, darn it, now I got to buy another 500 single issues or another 50 trade paperback. You know what I mean? Understandably so. Well, if Hollywood comes to you and says, hey, we want to pick this series up, maybe you'll have some ideas then. Who knows? Anything is possible, and it's never a bad thing to dream big and work hard. Go big or go home, as one might say. Sorry, that may be a reference to the NBA, but I don't care. Or not. But anyway, who knows? I don't watch the NBA. Who knows? But I digress. Well, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Dan Sehn of Argo Comics for being our guest on this week's episode of FreeWheeling Fridays. Yeah. Nobody does it better, as they say in the promo at the top of this show. It's a pro wrestling I had to throw it in there.
It's the cream of the crop.
It is. I had to throw it in there as a reference when we kick off the show, because these are some of the things that I enjoy, or some of the promos that I've watched on social media that I really enjoy, and we felt we would incorporate them into the intro, which, by the way, was put together by our good friends Case, and then also did some editing done by Lori Calcaterra from Path of the Pale Rider. Feel free to check out her stuff and the wonderful things she's doing. Dan, thank you so much for being here, kind sir. We wish you all the best of luck with everything you got going on with Sorority of Power, as well as everything else. So if someone wants to know more about you, or maybe purchase copies of your comics and things of that nature, where can they follow you on social media, Dan Sehn?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, YouTube. Facebook, all under Argo Comics. I do have a Dan Sehn Facebook as well. So pretty much if you just look up Argo Comics on the social media, you'll probably see us there, DeviantArt. Checking out Blue Sky. I don't know. Some people say that Blue Sky has particular political leanings. I don't know. I just saw it as a new social media, jumped on that, got an account, figure I got to lock the name Argo Comics before some pretender comes and takes it from me. But yeah, any of those, I'm online. Get back to people on any inquiries about the books.
Fabulous. Good, sir. Appreciate you being here and all the wonderful things you're doing. And links can be found in the description of this video. And they're also can be found in the comments where you can follow Dan Sehn and his Kickstarter and the wonderful things he's doing over there. Dan, stick around for me. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to be talking to you here again here momentarily. My name is Ryan of Quote Channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram personally at RyanRPM5 and follow my YouTube channel at Quote Channel, which is where am I pointing to? There it is. There it is. Right below my name there. Links can be found in the description, or you can just check it out at Quote Channel. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Sorry, I had to do it that way because I'm just trying to be silly. But also, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Once we do, we'll go through a great big live stream celebration that will include returning favorites and some special guests and some special giveaways that you, the incredible viewers / subscriber, are going to be eligible to win on Quote Channel. Also, we got merch. That's right, merch. It's on sale. We got on our Redbubble store. We got shirts. We got hoodies. We got stickers that you can add to your water bottles. We also have coffee mugs, a couple throw pillows, maybe some posters, some really cool stuff with some really cool pop culture inspired designs on our Redbubble store for Quote Channel. So make sure you check all that out. Quote, the show that I do on the weekends, is on Saturdays, 12 p.m. EST. Once again, more information can be found at our YouTube channel. The links are posted there for a reason, so make sure you check it out. Once again, do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified of when the videos go up or to go live. Thank you for being part of FreeWheeling Fridays every Friday night at 11 p.m. EST, part of the Madness Comic Network. And if you're interested to learn more about the Madness Comic Network and some of the great pieces of programming they have in store for you, just do yourselves a favor and take a look at this.
On the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic.